Hey guys, welcome to G&A Podcast. I am your host, Sober Oni, here with...
And
we are here for another amazing, wonderful, fun week of anime with a bunch of very interesting episodes to talk about. So let's get right into it with a surprise. We're covering Overlord first this time around. So let's talk about Overlord II, Episode 4.
We're just gonna go right into it. Can I tell you guys, he literally just said, hey, you ready to go? I'm like, yeah, I'm ready to go. And he just, literally 5 seconds later, he just started the opening.
I asked you if you're ready to go.
We're going right into it.
I don't play games. I do not play games.
I guess I should follow suit. So the snake dog lives.
Oh yeah, the snake dog.
If anyone cares, I care.
It's called a Hydra. The Hydra is alive.
Snake dog lives.
The Hydra is alive.
He treated him like a dog, and I'm just like, or a horse, but I just like dogs, so I'll just call it Snake Dog Lives.
This episode, we actually did get a lot more of Ainz and Nazarick.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, a shit ton more of that. And we found out this whole thing was just kind of like a... I wouldn't say game, but it was a test. It was a test by Ainz.
It's an experiment.
Yeah, experiment, to see if Cocytus can think outside the parameters of the game as an NPC and kind of think for himself and speak for himself and all of that. And he found out he could, so...
Yeah.
Success.
So definitely. He also was, testing to see if, Cocytus can, show mercy in such a way, because as you can see, there's a point where Cocytus and even Demiurge is trying to convince Ainz to not kill everyone, the lizard people.
And this is kind of why I love Ainz, is he's one of the smartest protagonists. I love smart protagonists. So he reminds me a lot of what's his name from Log Horizon.
I literally was about to think about
the same dude from Log. I love it's one thing to have a really powerful character who's just I win, and pulls out this really crazy move.
Kirito.
Kirito. But it's another thing to have another character who's just by the way, this was all according to my plan, Light or something, and that's just that's great.
Yeah, and I loved his reaction to the whole thing, because he went back to his room and he's like, "Oh my god, it actually
that was
worked."
one of my favorite scenes, where he's just flailing around in his bed, ooh, did they put perfume on my pillows?
Yeah, right. And he's having this cute moment, but he's this giant skeleton thing.
Because sometimes I actually forget that he is another person trapped inside of Ainz's body, so he still has his little moments of not being part of this world.
Yeah, and as I was talking to Oni about it earlier in the week, I was like, while they are good, while this anime is pretty decent with power levels not being so obnoxious with them, this episode they were just yeah, we're gonna remind you guys how strong these people are. Freaking Demiurge was oh, kneel before them, and then
so now we know Demiurge's power, I guess.
Is it gravity or the power of
I think it's the power of suggestion.
Yeah, so it's pretty OP. Everyone's pretty OP. Ainz is oh, I just didn't want to walk on your filthy, muddy land, so I'm just gonna freeze over the entire fucking tribe.
I love the whole procession, the whole over the topness of it.
It was so over the top.
Oh, we have to get all the skeletons to make a staircase.
Yeah,
that shit was great. Shoutier was all of it was great. Also, what was the new character? The new floor guardian victim?
Oh god,
creepy as fuck.
Gosh, disgusting. Oh my god, burn it with fire. Ew.
Disgusting looking fetus thing, which I'm kind of curious. I'm is he super powerful? Can he fight or something?
I don't know, nor do I care. Oh, so gross.
We also had a bit of lizard people in between all this.
Yes, the romance between Crush and Zaryusu.
It's funny because this is actually one of the most fleshed out romances in anime history.
And Overlord. Well, I was anime history, but definitely
hyperbolic.
But definitely the most in Overlord, if the only romance.
Yeah, and it's just funny to see how it's I mean, at first it was kind of. I mean, I guess it still kind of is played for jokes.
Yeah.
Like, I like the every time she's upset, she just slams her tail.
Yeah, it's just like or she starts wiggling around like crazy.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know, it's just kind of funny to see overdone cliche anime girl tropes on a snake girl or on a lizard girl. Just like her blushing and like, oh, senpai. Oh. So I don't know. I just find it super cute and fun.
God, this really makes me want, and this you saying that makes me want season 2 of Centaur's Life so bad.
Yes.
Oh my God. Just to watch Ebina-chan literally just goes and be like, senpai, I would fucking lose my mind.
Maybe this will have a different, like, the Overlord sales will bleed over. People will just have, like, this new fetish for snake and lizard girls, and then suddenly Centaur's Life sales just take off.
God, I hope something because season 2, one can dream.
I'm looking forward to seeing, like, it was fun to see the lizard people all hyped, and then all of a sudden, like, oh, well, we're kind of fucked. So
yeah.
I'm kind of curious to see how they handle the situation in 4 hours. I was kind of curious to see if we're gonna have a sex scene between the two.
I hope not, and I also hope so.
Literally, the last lines of the episode are Crush telling him, "Impregnate me." So, I guess we'll have some lizard lovemaking.
Bound chicka bow.
I already told you this one girl's gonna have the most dojins of anyone in this fucking series.
Yeah.
Fucking
like
no albedo porn or anything. It's all be all Crush.
Yeah, rip Arl tier.
Have some victim dojins in there for no reason.
Oh God. Oh God, that's not even the abomination thing.
Alright, let's move on.
Yeah, something much more prettier.
Oh yeah, in contrast, we have a very pretty show to talk about now. In Violet Evergarden. I keep calling it Violent Evergarden. Violet Evergarden, episode 4.
This was a very wonderful episode.
This was an Iris episode.
It was, and she was such a bitch, so I was like, at the beginning, so of course that made me interested in her.
I kind of didn't like her in this episode, because she's like, she had a really annoying, what do you call it? Like, you know those girls on, like, My Super Sweet 16 and all of that? Like, entitled, bitchy, bratty personality.
How so? If anything, I thought it was very...
Like, it's not as extreme as that, obviously.
No, I think Oni totally missed the mark. She was being strong in the face of like, oh, I want to work on being a doll. I want to be independent.
She wasn't being strong about it because she was like not being upfront about it. She was just, that was the problem. She wasn't being upfront about it. She was just acting bratty and bitchy. Like, I don't want to party.
She told her, her mom said,
quit
being a doll.
She never explicitly said, this is what I want to do. Can you respect my decision to do this? Until the very end with the letter. Like, the whole time outside of that, she was being really bratty. Like, obviously us watching it picked up on the context clues of she wants to be a fucking doll. She doesn't want to marry some random hobo from the village and have a family.
Okay, I don't call them hobos. Especially that Iemon.
Whatever, random cobbler from the village. But... I don't know. She never really made her intentions clear, so I can kind of see where her mom
make her intentions
was coming from. Where she was
clear,
like,
but the mother also just didn't care to ask. She was like, "No, I want you to get married." Like, obviously, she was very clearly she didn't want this to happen. And when your daughter says, "I don't want this one guy to come," specifically this one guy, why the fuck would you say, "You know what? I'm gonna invite him anyway. Put him back on the list." But this is
the part I love, is because in Violet's like inability to comprehend context or anything, she kind of makes a good point. And like, if you don't explicitly say you don't want this thing to happen, then you have to give reasons for it. Otherwise, why would we care what you think or honor your opinion? Like, you can't expect everyone to pick up on your contradicting meanings and shit in your speech. So,
I mean, yeah, she didn't give any reason as why she wanted him to come, but she did say
Yeah, she was like, I don't want him to come.
Yeah, she made that explicitly clear. She didn't give a reason for it, but that was no contradiction behind that statement at all.
Yeah, she's like, I don't want him to come, and her mom was like, well, does she give a reason? No. Well, then, fuck it. Bring him. I just feel like half the issues in this show can be overcome in 5 seconds with one of them just being like, I don't want this guy to come because he, I don't know, rejected me and makes me feel awkward being with him now.
But like, to be fair, but that's the beauty of the show, because it's reflective of like human life. Isn't everything, all the shit that happens, all the pointless drama that happens?
Yeah,
in
it's
real
very
life
often really
because
easy
of lack
to,
of communications, or people not wanting to make their feelings known. Yada yada yada.
It's also super frustrating to watch it from an outsider's perspective, though, because I'm just like, the whole time watching, like, God damn it, bitch, just tell her you don't like this guy because he rejected you. Finish this episode. But I get it. It's just frustrating to watch it sometimes unfold.
Yeah. But also, she also made it clear that she did not want to get married, and the mother still said, "I'm inviting all these men for you to marry." So she made that she was very upfront about it. They got into an argument and everything. So I won't say she hid to herself. Like the whole Iemon thing, yes, she's guilty of that, and that's like the whole point of the story. But everything else, she was very, I don't want this. I don't want this. And the mom's like, I'm doing it anyways.
I feel like her mom was just dense and stubborn and needed to be told, like, hey, stop. Stop for this. I want to do my career as a doll.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I liked her because she wasn't just like, oh, I'm just a bitch. She's like, no, I'm a girl. Like, I'm a real girl with, like, real feelings. And I like most girls, I don't want to tell everyone all my shit.
I did love, and we were arguing about this, we were talking about this in the episode when we were watching it together, about the difference between Violet and, say, Siegfried from Fate Apocrypha. Because when you get down to it, they're both kind of really bland characters that are very, I don't know, monotone-ish. But the difference is, Violet has these moments where it's just like, they play on the fact that she's so bland and clueless about the world. Like, for example, the very end, when they're thanking her, and Iris is like, oh, I couldn't have done it without you, Violet. Thank you for writing the letter. And then Violet just turns out like, I will be mailing you the invoice tomorrow because you ordered my services and shit. So, and then the moments where Violet's like, inability to pick up on context clues, and she just blurts out like, oh yeah, she doesn't want this guy at the party because he dumped her and rejected her and shit.
Oh god, that one part was so good, where she literally just like rubs the salt in. Oh, he rejected you. Yes. Oh, so like all your feelings that you had towards him, he told you to disregard them.
Yeah, like those moments are what give Violet personality, even though it's kind of ironic because she's given personality by moments that explicitly show her lack of personality and understanding. But that, in a way, kind of makes her who she is. Versus Siegfried, who just kind of is just mopey and doesn't really do anything. I
wouldn't say mopey. It's just like they try to make him chew too much. I think he would have been better if they focused on like a specific point.
He would have been better if he was a side character.
If they just zeroed in on a specific point of humanity and then tried to flesh that out the entire series. It's like they're doing with Violet Evergarden. Like, she has the one theme that's her describing like how to express one's feelings and how to figure out what love is and yada yada yada. They're starting that one lane. They're going in that one lane and just going with it. I'm pretty sure if they started going all over the place with it, it would be a little bit like, it'd be a bit more than the anime can like chew. I think that's the problem, in my opinion.
I do want to say that I'm pretty slow, so I did not pick up on the naming conventions on this show. But I just realized that Violet, and I wasn't being sarcastic when I pointed it out in the episode. No, Violet
it wasn't.
And Iris are both named after flowers.
No, I think you're supposed to find out, like,
in the episode?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, well, now that I say it back to myself, like, oh, Violet Evergarden, her name is after a flower. Yeah, okay, but...
I mean, well, I knew that just because, like, I knew that, but...
I figured... I didn't think too much about it.
But someone could have just named someone Violet because they like the name Violet.
Yeah, that's kind of what I assumed. So, I don't know. That was kind of an aha moment for me if it wasn't for it. I'm sure not for many other people. Many other people probably figured that out, like, 4 episodes ago, but whatever. It was a nice touch.
Yeah, it was just really good. It was really good character development for, like, both characters, in my opinion.
It was.
Like,
I wouldn't say that this was as good as last week's, though.
What was last week? Yeah. It wasn't, but I liked it because I think we need these kind of episodes that are just low on the light side.
We definitely do.
As opposed to my parents died in the war, my brother is an alcoholic veteran. But everything will be right.
Yeah. Alright.
Yeah, let's move on.
Let's move on to episode 5 of Card Captor Sakura Clear Card Hand.
Which is definitely my episode of the week.
What a shock. It is your episode of the week.
Which is weird. I mean...
Yeah, it's weird because I didn't really enjoy this episode.
I mean, I don't know, I feel in a weird way that kind of like, that's like a reflection of like the rest of the episodes this week almost. I guess this week wasn't really strong if this ended up being my episode of the week.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Like,
I feel like we had a few good episodes this week. Citrus
was good.
Oshigoto.
Citrus was good, and so was Oshigoto. It was good, but I think literally just I feel like the opening scenes with Sakura and Carabetos and the dad and the brother, it just like literally the first 5-10 minutes, like it really left a really strong scene on me. It was a good family scene.
And then of course it all went to hell as soon as her friends show up.
Yeah, and then the friends showed up, and then it wasn't as obnoxious as episode 2. It wasn't that bad as episode 2.
I really
it was
don't
just
like her friends. Her friends.
I don't. They're easily bring down the show. I feel like they should just like stick to like 2 minutes of dialogue.
Were they this heavy in the original series? I feel like I hardly ever saw them.
No, they weren't.
Series.
Like I knew them. I knew all of them, but I just like they're really trying to push this whole slice of life shit, which I'm not a huge fan of, but just I don't know, like the aesthetic of it all was just very good. The card capture was a little weak this episode, as Oni said.
Yeah, it was really weak this episode.
Pretty much weak, but it was funny because she's literally getting dragged away, and no one's just. I'm like, is anyone noticing this girl just like awkwardly going in one direction as if she can't stop herself?
Well, she's a kid. They probably just chalked it up to her being silly.
Even when she's like hanging on the flagpole for dear life.
Yeah. Silly kids.
So, yeah, she just naturally has that insane upper body strength. But yeah, I don't know. I like the scenes between her and Lee. I liked. I don't know. It was just like all the little things. All the little things made it just like I liked it enough.
I get where you're coming from with that, and it's like I get like the first part of the episode was really good. I like the whole opening act with her father and her brother and Yuki and Kira.
Like I was telling them, I was like, if the rest of the episode was gonna be that, and then 5 minutes of her capturing the card, I would have been okay.
But
I actually would have been.
I'm getting so tired of. Her friends, because like I've seen them way too much,
friends.
And they all have the same shtick of the guy telling the story, like, "Whoa, did you know?" Blah, 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 blah. And I was getting old super fast. And Lee is just, I'm getting tired of Lee at this point because he just does nothing. He just shows up, acts like a sweetheart to Sakura, and bounces at
even though he's like super suspicious as all.
Yeah,
hell.
like dude, do something, like help Sakura. I keep waiting for something to happen where like Sakura kind of has like this big fight, and Lee has to show up. Like I remember that in the old series where there would be fights where Lee would show up and Sakura was there and Mei was there and Tomoyo was there, like, and I feel like we haven't gotten that. Mei. Yes, and I feel like we haven't gotten that level of, I don't know, epicness in this. Like it's just, there's a serious lack of tension and hype in this series.
Well, do keep in mind that like Lee, I mean he can, but he can't help as much because it's not like he has cloud cards anymore.
So he should still be able to help. Didn't he not have cloud cards in the beginning either? Well, at the end of the series.
By the end of it, but yeah, and then he became a crazy support role, and I don't think towards the end he wasn't like super involved in everything.
I don't know. I just feel like this series is.
I feel like he will though. I feel like he'll
slower tone. It
is slow. I feel it's gonna pick up next. We saw the previews for next week. Next week is gonna be a little bit more story from what we saw in the previews.
Yeah.
I still love it all the same, even the short episodes. That's what it means to be a fan.
I'll take that not personally, but let's continue.
I do. Why? That wasn't a jab against you. What do you think I was? Why do you think? Why do you think I was?
I'm only saying this slowness can only keep up for so long.
Someone who loves nothing but slow.
Anyway, let's move on to Citrus, episode 5.
Oh, this is a really good episode.
This was a really fucking good episode. Almost my episode of the week, but it was not.
Yeah, I wonder
we got. I wonder what I'm saying. But you probably won't guess my episode of the week. And there was a lot of May this episode, like a ton of May.
It's literally only 2. Only 2 guesses as your episode of the week.
Well,
I actually think I know.
You get it wrong.
I'd be really surprised. Let's see. I loved May in this episode. It was so weird. Like, this episode started with and May just had some really good moments, and then Yuzu was like, oh, like, it's so weird. It's like they're both fighting to be like best girl, even though they're like dating each other. But it's like, but I'm just like, oh god, I love May. Oh god, but Yuzu's really cool too. Oh god.
I wish that, I don't know why it is that Yuri and Yaoi do this thing where it's like they actually have good romantic development in the series, where it's like the whole scene with Yuzu and Mei in the train, and she's kind of like trying to nibble on her ear, and there's like sexual tension, and there's like a lot of stuff. Like, romances don't generally do that unless they're Yuri and Yaoi, which kind of sucks. But I wish I'd seen that. I wish I'd see that more in other romances.
Yeah, although I am glad that Yaoi definitely toned it down a bit, or it's not like, oh, I kind of just met and we looked at each other for more than 5 seconds. Sex scene.
All this episode taught me was that Yuzu is the thirstiest of the bunch by far.
She is the thirstiest, but she is also
so thirsty.
But she is the best.
I just realized after watching this episode, like thinking about it, she used her dead father as a pawn to try and get with May.
Yep.
That's some crazy thirst. She literally was subverted Momo's plans to go to the amusement park with May with, oh, why don't we visit my father's grave? Maybe we can make out and stuff.
I don't think she was gonna make out with that. I think
she was trying to. I think
she was trying to confess her feelings.
When May was close to her, Yuzu was gonna go in for that kiss, and then May was like, "Oh my god," and gave her like sad sob story. Then Yuzu was like, oh, "Damn it! Even I'm not shitty enough of a person to kiss her while she's weak." But no, there's a lot of May stuff. A lot of us getting. It was a lot of Momo too. A lot of Momo character development this episode. And Momo got shat on like crazy for the first half of the episode.
Oh god, I was here for it. I was so here for it, and that's what made May so good. That's what made May. Like the scene where Momo stops them from walking, and Momo comes out with her dog. And then May just plays the dog while Momo's like threatening Yuzu, and then May is just like, gives her the dog back. She's like, don't get in my way.
Yeah.
We're just like, oh.
And then May about to die from like fucking Japanese heat exhaustion or whatever, and still shitting on Momo.
What the fuck makes you think you could do it? Who do you think you are?
You can take my spot, Momo? Why do you think you my vice president? But yeah, I felt bad for Momo this whole episode.
And then Yuzu was just like, I'm going to be a big sister. And then, well, I could have just been like, hey, yes, this is watching her hate on my, like, love rival. Instead, she was like, well, hey, what she said was really fucked up, even though you were sick. Like, go apologize.
I do like, I love Yuzu a lot after this episode. I'm curious to see how long her new stance on, May doesn't need a lover, she needs a family. I'm curious to see how many episodes that opinion lasts.
I feel like it's going to last for a while because May's dad has returned. And I'm calling it right now that he definitely may or may not be sexually abusing or has sexually abused his daughter.
I called this in episode 1. So if this turns out to be true, I am rubbing it in Drew's face for the next foreseeable future. I called this since episode 1.
Oh, okay. Like, gold star for you.
Yes. 10 gold stars, actually, but fine. Yeah, her father gave really rapey vibes.
Yeah, when he was, like, hugging the girl. Oh, so good to see you. Looks at Faye like he's about to, like, I don't know, like, crush you to the death.
And if I know this series as well as I do, I feel like the next episode is going to be like, I don't know, the dude's going to, like, pin May against a wall while she's taking a shower or something.
Yeah.
I hope Yuzu just kicks his ass. Anyway.
Yeah, pedophilia sucks. Moving on. Speaking of
pedophilia. Speaking of pedophilia, we have Yono Oshigoto, episode 4.
Yeah.
The Lolicon King has arrived, guys. Don't know if you've heard. But Yaichi is stepped up his pedo game massive amounts.
Yeah, I can't defend him anymore.
This is no longer about shogi. No, it is. But I feel like his shogi prowess is now.
I think I was trying to like
his
be like,
loli
oh yeah, he
powers.
didn't kind of like a lolly, but it's like it's whatever. He's just being in these he's just being put in these circumstances. Nope.
Nah, I feel like public opinion is turning against him now. He has a new. First off, he has a new a disciple who is another 9-year-old girl named Ai. So that's not going to be confusing at all to have two main girls named Ai.
Yeah, she's the Sun Ai to the Yandere.
Can we call
Ai.
one? Was it? I'm gonna call the regular Eye Blue Eye, and I guess the other one is black or red.
Blue Eye, Red Eye.
Blue Eye, Red Eye. Let's go with that. Yeah. So original Eye is Blue Eye. New Eye is Red Eye. Red Eye. But so he has a new disciple in Red Eye, and she's kind of the tsundere, bitchy. I don't know.
Oh my god! I just got it.
What?
It's like a play on words.
What?
Because when I didn't realize you were saying I as in AI.
Oh,
I think
you
meant
mean Red
I
Eye
like
and Blue Eye.
like because she had got like she's on the
I
zone.
guess so. It's kind
she
of
has red
unintentional.
eyes. That's
Does she have red eyes?
Yeah,
Oh,
like when
does?
she was like,
oh my god, an eye has blue eyes.
yeah, I'll take your word for it. Like when she doesn't, yeah, when she does her like intense mode, she's like, there, go.
Yeah.
That was blue.
So wow, that's some kind of hidden. Who says this show doesn't have depth and symbolism? Look at that. Blue Eye has blue eyes, and Red Eye has red eyes. There you go. It's all the symbolism we need. We'll talk about symbolism more in Fate Extra, but when we get there.
Okay.
But also on top of that, we had the biggest his biggest pedal moment when he Char came up to him and was like, "Let me be your disciple."
And he was like, "No, I don't want you to be my disciple." He was like, "Oh, but like I don't want to crush her feelings or hurt her. You can be my bride." And I'm like, I'm telling you right now,
just
like,
treat us two lowly brides.
the only time you can say you can be my bride is to your own daughter. Any other circumstance, it makes you a pedo.
He has two brides. One is 6 and one is 9. Just want to point that out. So yeah, this show's about shogi, by the way. So let's talk about that. We did get a healthy amount of shogi. We got to see Red Eye being trained at a bunch of different shogi parlors where she fought super old dudes and women and lost a shit ton of times before she won. So I think that was a fun. We learned a bit about like different shogi moves and stuff. Mm-hmm. So we got that part of it. Like, it's still about shogi. Don't worry.
Yeah.
It's still shogi
Allegedly.
related. Allegedly. And by the way, this is my episode of the week.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, it's my episode.
I was like, if Fate Extra was your episode of the week, I'd be like, we would have that big, like that'd be a big problem. I had to question your taste.
I had several bones.
I would question your taste, like in like everything.
All right, Mr. Card Captors, absolutely
better than Fate by far.
I don't know how to go that far. Anyway, we'll see. I just enjoyed this episode's blend of shogi
pedo.
And loli. Yes, fine. That and
yeah,
shogi.
and then of course at the end, he's teaching Red Eye how to put down a tile correctly, let me show you. Let me
get behind you and grab your hand and guide you.
Oh, that's how you do it. Put it right there. And then, of course, he gets caught as if he would be caught if he's cheating on his lolly with another lolly.
Yeah, Blue Eye walks in.
Yeah.
With her posse.
And then, oh my god, they'll be like, oh my god, oh no, he didn't.
Her hype girls.
Yeah, right?
Her hype girls.
I go, oh, girl, oh,
yeah,
shit.
They were starting to. I think one of them was like, oh, does that look like?
Doesn't that look like?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, shit. Why you behind some girl for? What you doing?
Ain't that your man?
World star.
I just picks up a chair and throws it. I did like Eye's Blue Eye her whole gimmick is being very perceptive. So she was going in detail about how she can tell when people are lying or stressed out. And I'm kind of curious to see if we go back into the previous episodes, because her tell for telling if Yaichi is stressed or lying is he rubs his pants. He just starts rubbing his pants. So I'm curious to see if we go back to like the first or second or third episodes, if every time Yaichi's stressed, do we just see him rubbing his pants? That'd be some deep next level Illuminati shit.
I feel like it wouldn't go that hard though.
But does it though?
Probably not.
I really love this episode because it epitomized what I expect from the show, which is a healthy dose of kind of sportsy, shogi stuff, and an even healthier dose of over-the-top comedy, lowly antics.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So shall we move on to... Fate Extra. I think that's next, right?
Yeah.
Yep, Fate Extra episode 1.
Could you imagine Gendo Guardian was above
Oh my god, I gotta confirm. Okay, Gendo Guardian... Gendo Guardian is in fact not rated higher than Fate Extra.
Oh my god, I think you'd have a heart attack. We have to end the recording right here.
So Fate Extra, last Encore, episode 1. We won't be covering episode 2 this week because we're a week behind. But yes, episode 1. I'm curious to see what you think about it.
So I know it's gonna get better because it's Fate, and as much as people shat on Apocrypha, like
me,
like you, I don't think Apocrypha was the worst piece of garbage trash ever. Like, I mean, fuck it, if you hate that much, just watch it for the awesome fights and be done with it. But yeah, in terms of first episodes, I have to say this is pretty the pits for first episodes. Pretty the pit. This is I know it's gonna be sound really fucking harsh, but this is Gendo Guardian level.
Oh,
shit.
okay, yeah, no, it wasn't that bad.
No, I really was
bad.
I literally have 3 sentences written because there really wasn't much to say. It was just first they start with this huge information dump, which I've watched this twice and I still don't I get it, but I don't.
All you need to know is this is a fucking virtual reality thing, and they're all fighting each other like masters in a Grail War, and there's 256 of them.
Oh wow! If only they could have said that, but they didn't. So that's my big problem. So all that information dump, and you still couldn't tell me what the fuck's going on. It was just stuff happened. None of it made sense. I'm familiar.
It was not Gendo Guardian levels bad though. It was not. All right, there's a difference between stuff just being pulled out of someone's ass, like we will get to in Gendo Guardian.
Yeah. Okay. It wasn't that level, but it was definitely it was only a few steps above. Only a few steps above.
So my problem with this first episode is pretty similar. It's
my problems.
Well, I have a couple problems in the first episode, but the major one is, it was very, very, very info dumpy. It was 90% exposition. The whole scene, in particular, the beginning scene with the classroom and the scene with the dude from the 2030 Craft Essence, the scientist guy, coming out and talking about all the shit. were so info dumpy, like just like blah da da da. Here's these random terms da 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 that mean nothing to you.
Exactly. It's like, how are you so info dumpy? Yet I still don't know what's going on.
It's the laziest way to introduce information,
and it's bad.
And it's the worst way too, because you don't understand.
I don't understand it. Like your whole info dumpy thing didn't work.
You're transitioning from being a entertaining show to being a fucking science textbook or something. So. It's dumb. It's really bad. You
definitely could have dumbed it down. I really did.
And there isn't a reason to go that technical this early. This probably gonna be a 24-episode series. You don't need to go into the fucking dynamics of the moon cell and how it operates in episode 1. You can leave some of it to the imagination and actually tell your story. But, so yes, I got that part. The reason why I kind of forgive him for that and more lenient towards that is because Fate Extra in and of itself is a huge info dumpy game where it's like the whole first before you get your servant is one of the most excruciating info dumpy fucking boring trugs through monotony.
Any other Fate
it's like pretty much any if you've ever played a JRPG where it takes like an hour for the game to actually do something, that was this episode. Because and I kind of forgive him for it because it's like, is there a way that they could have adapted it where it would have both made sense, been true to the source material, and was entertaining? And my answer is probably not. Like, I don't think you get around the info dumps because there's so much bullshit technical information that you need to know. It's not like Apocrypha where it can rely on the fact that you've seen Fate Zero and Fate Unlimited Blade Works to be like, oh, this is another Holy Grail War. Like, there's so much technical shit about the Moon Cell and differences between the Grail Wars that it kind of needed to have to be all info dumpy. So I'm glad it got it out of the way now. So if it does it next episode or the next episode after that, then I'll be like, what the fuck? But this was like the pain episode where we need to do all the boring bullshit. This is like the episode where we need to read the terms of service to you and then get that out of the way.
I just wish you explained it in a better way where I could like actually like digest something in a very doable way as opposed to like, oh my god, I have to pay attention.
Like there are shows that can have amazing first episodes where like you understand, like Hero Academia and Attack on Titan are like two of the best first episode shows of all time, in my opinion, where like everything you need to know is in the first episode and it's not info dumped, it's told through action and there's hype moments and it's like a full great episode. This is not that. This is the opposite of that. This is one of these shows where you need to have a boring, shitty, bad first episode filled with boring, shitty, monotonous info dumps and exposition to get to the good stuff.
Okay, well, now that we're done with that, let's go over how bad the art was.
Okay, now this I can't forgive it for that. So let's go with that.
Yeah.
This is where I won't make excuses.
Yeah, let's go about how fucking bad the art was. Like, did they just almost forgot to color in Shinji? Like, give him lines? And the BB ripoff?
I kind of like the BB ripoff because she's so fucking smug. Shinji's girlfriend,
why do you look at she's like always scheming to kill me.
It has a permanent smug face and it's fucking hilarious.
It's hilarious, but it's also bad. It's like half of the designs are like so bad and then the other half are like good. Like Sakura's was good, Ren's was good. The main characters was pretty good.
Yeah, it's. I'm glad Shinji's design is shit because I don't really give a fuck about Shinji.
Yeah,
like if they had to fuck up somebody's design, fine, let it be Shinji's design.
But like, yeah, Shinji's like, and then like there's this like the coloring for some of it is just like a little.
It's very weird. Like
Is this the same people who did the other Fates, or is this like a whole?
No,
new one?
This is Shaft. So they did the Bakemonogatari. They did Madoka.
Okay. Which surprises me because like this is actually really low quality for them.
Yeah, this felt like I was saying we were live watching it with the patrons. Shameless plug. If you're a patron, you can watch this with us. So we were live watching this with the patrons, and I said something like, "This feels like a very low budget anime or a very high budget hentai," and it's kind of what it felt like. I was watching, especially when we got to the scenes with like Sakura in the nurse's office and shit.
Yeah.
I felt like I was watching some really high budget hentai. but that's like a really low budget modern anime quality. So it was in between that line. It definitely didn't feel like Shaft quality. It felt like this is one of their B-list or C-list team.
Like I think they were like, oh my god, let's take. Especially, like, when they began, like, the culling, where everyone started getting, like... First of all, that was, like, unnecessarily, like, graphic, where everyone started getting killed.
Yeah. By the way, this is not how Fate Extra actually started. This is completely deviated from the story already.
Yeah, I was like, let's start with, like, a mass genocide of, like, children. Like, everyone just getting, like, torn to bits. Like, I still, like, people getting cut in half. This one girl gets stabbed in the stomach and her head gets lopped off.
Yeah.
And then, like, simultaneously... Like, it's just, like, so unnecessarily, like, violent. Shit, there's something else I had to point out that made me feel some type of way. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I was getting back to the art. I was making that point, but, like, to get back to the art, like, when everything started, like, falling apart, I feel like they were just like, okay, let's just take one of, like, the reject scenes from Madoka when someone becomes a witch. And let's have that... And let's throw that in there, and let's just rock with that.
It's funny because the animation style is very similar to Madoka and Bakemonogatari, where it does that whole thing where it's like weird transitions, and there's like a scene where the dude's walking down the stairs, and you see like it's all shadows, and you see like a stair up there and a stair. It does that whole very heavy symbolism kind of thing, which is another thing we're gonna talk about, and it does that. But it does it in Bakemonogatari. It can get away with that because it's like, okay, this is kind of weird and quirky looking, but it's still beautiful to look at. Like, some of the character designs are beautiful. Some of the animations are really fluid, even though there's not that much. Some the ones that are there are very fucking high quality. This didn't have it. A lot of the animation was, like, repeated. When you see Shinji stabbing Hakuno in the back, it's just kind of like the laziest looking animation of just like a hand moving forward and
there's
over and over.
There's no blood on the knife.
There's no blood. It's just like, it looks like somebody in Photoshop just like photoshopped a hand going in and out of somebody else's body over and over again, and super lazy looking.
Exactly. Although I will say, I did like Shinji's face, like, before he stabbed him.
Yeah, there was a few moments where it looked really good, but for the most part, it was very not pleasant to look at, and the animation was kind of lazy. And I don't know, like the ending, for example, the fight with Nero and Emiya at the end it wasn't the greatest fight, but it was okay. It was passable. And the fight in the beginning, maybe if it wasn't for all the dimming light bullshit that they do, which I guess is to guard against epilepsy.
I understand why they did it to stop the epilepsies, but like I also can't like see.
Yeah, I can't see anything. It's too dark.
It's also a little too dark.
So I get it, kind of, but at least the fights look decent enough, and I'm guessing that's where the animation budget went to.
Probably, I don't know. It was just very like
that, or maybe they just didn't give a shit about the first episode and like whatever, save it for the later episodes.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know, maybe it's just like, maybe Shaft, maybe, like, is it, like, maybe this just isn't for Shaft, maybe she just stuck with, I don't know, who did it last time? It wasn't Studio Dean.
No, it was A1 Pictures. Yeah, it was A1 Pictures.
Yeah.
But, like, I don't know, I feel like Shaft can do this, because Extra itself is kind of weird looking.
I think it's only because it's Extra they can do it.
I would not trust Shaft to do, like, I don't know, Fate Zero or something.
Oh, God, yeah, no.
I don't want Kirichigu head tilting at me. But, yeah, no, I think that, I think Shaft can do it. It's just they need to bring their A game, and this is clearly, like, they just woke up. This is
oh god.
This is their. I just woke up on Sunday morning with like a hangover game where it's like, oh shit, we gotta finish up the first episode of Fate Extra, guys, quick. Yeah. So I don't know what the fuck they were doing. But
as someone who hasn't played the game, I'm very underwhelmed.
Also, there was no Umu this episode. That's the biggest part. The biggest sin of this episode was Nero did not Umu once. The fuck are you doing,
I think literally they could have just appeased the fans. She could have said whatever she said and then ended it with Umu. Yeah. And then that would have been
I would have been fine. This would have been the episode of the week. But, like, the last scene of the episode, because they always have to do it. They did it in Fate Zero, and they did it in Fate Blade Works, they did it in Fate Apocrypha. Whenever Saber is summoned, Saber has to turn to the fucking camera and be like, are you my master? Fuck that. This is Nero. You could have Nero turn to the camera and be like, and end the episode. It would have been a 10 out of 10 episode. Everyone would have been happy. But no. Fuck that. You have to have a generic Saber line. But yeah, no.
Yeah.
So hopefully next week they get their shit sorted out. And by next week I mean this week because it's out,
Already
but it's
out.
not subbed
Yeah.
yet. So, but yeah, hopefully they'll get their shit together and it'll be a good episode. I still have faith. I still abide by the 3-episode rule. And Shaft has done this before, where their first episode is garbage, Monica, and then after like episode 3, they get their shit together.
Yeah, yeah, that is actually true.
So, I still have high hopes for it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're gonna be fine. I'm not saying oh god the whole series is gonna suck now. I'm just saying this one
episode really, is
like
bad.
Of all the Fate series, this is like the worst first episode.
I'd probably agree with that. I think Fate Apocrypha had actually a really good first episode.
Yeah,
and then Zero and Blade Works also had great first episodes.
Yeah, they all had pretty decent first
this
episodes.
is the weakest of the first, even more so than probably Dean's first episode.
Yep. I 100% agree on that, and I feel about that one.
So just if you haven't seen it yet, well, we just spoiled the shit out of it for you. But if you haven't seen it yet, go in with the expectation that this is going to be a very slow, bad first episode. And
yeah, I literally would just say just skim around to see shit fall apart, and then actually start watching it properly from episode 2 on.
All right. And speaking of bad episodes, at least only the first episode of Fate Extra is bad. But we got Get No Guardian episode 4, where every episode's the first episode of Fate Extra.
That is a very well done tag. Oh, God.
Jesus. I don't even remember what happened in this episode. So much shit. This was just a giant shit show of an episode.
Was I think we were eating.
We were eating when we were watching it. We were having some amazing food.
We had some amazing Brazilian food, which
was
good.
So fucking good.
It was helping cleanse our palates of this other shit.
It's like our eyes were watching shit, but our mouths were tasting greatness.
Exactly. Oh, God. So basically, they fight some final boss character, and if they beat the said final boss character, he gets his memories. That were sealed away, which I don't even recall happening. Like, do you remember anything?
I don't remember. There were so many things that happened in this episode that I feel like either I was not paying close enough attention in the first season or something, or they just pulled it out of their ass and did never ever even mention this before.
And if they did mention the first one, they mentioned it literally like once, and then in like the most obscure way possible, and then never talked about it again.
Yeah, because there was so much shit that happened in this episode that had no context, and it was just like.
And I'm thinking, oh, how is he gonna fight with like, just like that one scarf ability that he has, which is like broken but like cool. And then all of a sudden he's like, oh wait, but I also have these gems of power, and they all have like one
7
weapon.
Chaos Emeralds in the front of his ass.
Yeah, he was like Chaos Control, bitch.
That was so random because the first episode of this series, it was just establishing that his ability was I can copy an ability of a teammate who died or whatever,
or anyone who died,
or anyone who died, which is kind of cool. It's like, all right, that's a cool ability to have. But now that was not his ability. Now his ability is I have 7 random Chaos Emeralds, and they each have their own separate ability, and I don't know what it is, and I'm gonna try it out. Like,
and then he has this one sword, which is like, oh, this is just a sword that makes me go really fast, and I'm like, okay, the sword makes me go fast. Sword gets broken. Oh, now I'm making this field of air, and I'm like, oh, that. What does that have to do with you going back? Okay, sure. Still fighting. Looks like he's getting his ass kicked. The guy dies, and he's like, actually, and then goes into the most Poindexter Bill Nye the Science Guy explanation of how he won.
It's like, if you guys have watched any kind of, I'm sure it's in every shonen show ever. Like, you watch Yu Hakusho, you watch, 2-Hour Magic no Index or anything, especially that show, where they go into these sciencey explanations of why a certain person won a fight, where they'll be like, oh, well, actually, you didn't even notice, but I cut you in your arm 20 hits ago, and ever since I cut you, you've been bleeding out slowly, and now I want some shit like that. And this was that logic taken to the utter insane extreme that made no sense. It was essentially like, oh, my sword shoots out oxygen.
Like, yeah, it shoots out oxygen. It was oxygenating your blood.
Yeah.
And
it was oxygen. He hit him with the sword and it was oxygenating his blood. And then when he broke the sword, it made it super oxygenated to the point where his blood was rusting. And I was just like, what? That makes no fucking sense. First off, I don't think blood rusts that fast. If it does, holy shit, we're all fucked. Because all we need is a little bit of extra oxygen and we're dead.
Yeah, and then, it breaks it down to, like, oh, yeah, you just got oxygen poisoning, essentially, and that's how I beat you.
He gave him oxygen poisoning. That's how he beat this guy.
I'm like,
he gave him oxygen poisoning.
Definitely not, like, you're taking this one very specific scientific term and you're applying it to, like, some crazy sci-fi way, which you've never done with this anime ever. So I do not, like, appreciate it. I do not believe it. I do not follow it.
And it's funny because we're saying this here. We just explained what happened in about, I think, less than a minute. The show explained what was happening for, not even lying, about 5 or 6 minutes. This fucking explanation was going on.
It was actually very
about how fucking he sliced him and oxygen. But wait, how'd you do this? Well, actually, I didn't even matter that. But how did that happen?
Oh yeah, and then he was like, when you fought all the other people, I oxygenated their blood.
Oh yeah, and then I gave all their blood oxygen. I'm like, Jesus Christ, man, are you the fucking second coming of Kirito? How many steps ahead are you thinking?
And their blood. Meanwhile, this guy was like, you have, like, what was it, like, 80 seconds
to live.
Yeah, 80 seconds to live. All this happened, including that explanation, happened in 80 seconds.
All happened in 80 seconds, guys. Anime logic.
Oh my god! Like,
and if this sounds random to you, like if you heard us talking about it last week and you're like, well, what's he talking about? A giant fight out of nowhere? They weren't fighting anybody. That's how we felt. They weren't fighting anybody last week.
No, they were.
He wasn't though. He was not fighting anybody.
Oh, he wasn't fighting.
No, he wasn't. Yeah, no. He was just like talking to Fran.
They were watching them fight.
They were watching them fight, and they were having lunch.
Yeah, and then the bad guy was like, "I must seek the chosen one." There you are, fight me.
For some reason, he's the chosen one now, and he has the fucking key to Floor Zero. And I don't how many episodes. It doesn't say how many episodes the season is, but I swear to God, it feels like tomorrow or next week is the last episode because the episode title.
That'd be the greatest mercy ever.
This episode title was like the final battle or the final countdown or something.
Yeah, the final countdown.
The final countdown, and now Suijin is getting ready to go to Floor Zero to fight Precious and Dark Tiger or whatever the fuck he's doing and fighting the final boss. So I'm like, this is only episode 6 though. Last episode you were having lunch with Farron, so what the fuck is going on with this pacing? Also, we got a new group, the Silverbacks. Who are they? I don't know. They show up at the end of the episode.
Oh, yeah, Silverbacks, right.
The Silverbacks just fucking show up at the end of the episode.
More groups of people named after animals, people.
Don't know who they are, what they're here for, but they're there. They showed up and everyone's afraid of them. God damn the show.
Like, it would have been great if he just would have, like, been like, oh, I oxygenated your blood. Like, which, by the way, like, the whole point of oxygenating, like, blood, like, oxygen poisoning, it's, like, it has nothing to do with, like, making one's blood rust, like, in any sense.
Yeah, I don't think that works at all. No. You can't make your blood rust. I don't know. This show's just kind of bad. If you do want to do a drinking game or something, I guess the show's kind of...
Oh my god, it has to be a great drinking.
It has to be a really good drinking game.
Like, it would be. You need, like, a lot of people who are, like, down to watch, like, a shit. Like, this is definitely, like, the room of...
Yeah, this is the room of anime. You need to watch it if you have a really... You get nothing else to do that night, and you have people over, and you're just like, we have a shit ton of beer, and we want to watch a really shitty show, and drink
and
a
laugh,
lot.
yeah.
Yeah, then you can watch this, and have, like, some rule where every time something doesn't make sense... You know what you should do? Every time something doesn't make sense, you drink, and you can have it like you're allowed to call somebody out, and they have to explain the plot to you. And if they can't explain the plot to you in that moment, they finish their bottle.
Oh no, that's absolutely not, because that's how someone gets alcohol poisoning. If I were playing with you, you actually would be legally dead. You would be at the 0.5. You're a 0.56. Oh wait, you're dead.
And we're serious about that. No one can explain the plot. You're probably gonna die if you do that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that wraps up this week in anime. Pretty decent week overall. I think I do expect more from Fate Extra.
Yeah, I feel like next week's gonna be really good because like the introduction of May's dad.
Oh, yeah.
More story
There's
with
a-
card captors.
Mhm.
Episode 2 of Fate Extra. So it's not
We got
episode
Eye.
1.
We have Red Eye versus Blue Eye.
Yes, Red Eye versus Blue Eye because he's been caught cheating on his lolly with another lolly.
Overlord final battle thing.
Well, Overlord is just a good
Yeah.
anime in general. So is Violet. I'm really looking forward to next week.
There's a lot of stuff for next week. So, yes, next week is going to be fucking epic. And I guess all I have to say now is if you guys enjoyed this, please consider liking and subscribing. And if you really enjoyed and want to go the extra mile, please do consider donating on Patreon or becoming a YouTube sponsor. And those of you who have donated, thank you very much. You can see your names on the screen right now. Thank you to our contributors. Thank you for joining us watching Fate Extra last week. I hope we get to watch it again this week. Again, Fridays at 8 p.m. Eastern and Sundays at 12:30 p.m. Eastern. And that's Fate Extra Episode 2. You have anything to add?
Don't be a pedo and do shogi at the same time.
Don't be a pedo and do shogi at the same time,
And
guys.
don't do drugs.
Don't do drugs, and don't play drinking games with Get No Guardian, and don't give yourself oxygen poisoning.
And don't let Shaft do your anime.
Don't let Shaft animate your first episode.
Yeah, right?
Alright, guys. We're out of here. This is Sober Oni and
Drooby-doo.
signing out. Later.
Bye.